vrijeme za novinarska pitanja. Uvažavajući naravno vaš veliki interes, ograničeni smo vremenom koje nam je na raspolaganju. Imamo vremena za nekoliko pitanja. Evo krenut ćemo sa Jasmina Kuzmanović-Momberg. Izvolite.
Hello. Question for Secretary General. Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, a group of European countries led by the UK and Germany are apparently planning to increase, or actually to have some military presence on the Arctic, on Greenland. Could you tell us more about these plans? Would it be like the Baltic Sentry of the last year initiative, or how would it look, and how far the plans have gone? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. And let me first of all stress that all allies agree on the importance of the Arctic and Arctic security, because we know that with sea lanes opening up, there is a risk that the Russians and the Chinese will be more active. And as you know, there are 8 Arctic countries, 7 are within NATO, including the United States and Canada, and 5 countries in Europe, including Denmark through Greenland and Iceland and Norway, Finland and Sweden. And then there is 1 Arctic country outside NATO, and that is Russia. But you could also argue that by now China has almost become a sort of Arctic country, not geographically, but at least by the sheer amount of their activities and interest in the region. So that has led last year already to some debates, very successful concluded debates in NATO on how, as an alliance, together with our 7 Arctic allies, we have to work together to make sure that the Arctic stays safe. And currently we are discussing the next step to that, how to make sure that we give practical follow-up on those discussions to make sure that as an alliance we do everything collectively and through our individual allies to make sure that the Arctic stays safe, as we all agree that that has to be a priority.
Hi.
Hi.
Also a question for you, Secretary General. My name is Anabela Lajkov from the Croatian Radio. You have repeatedly stated that Russia is the main threat to NATO and to Europe, of course, understandably. We all understand why. What is your comment, approximation on latest statements from Donald Trump, who said that if necessary he will take military action on Greenland? And I'm just going to read it. Commissioner Kubilius from European Commission has said that EU members are obliged to come to Denmark's assistance under EU treaty if faced with military aggression. And as we know, 23 countries of EU are also members of NATO. Gospodine Plenković, including Croatia, yes. Gospodine Plenković, evo isto vaš komentar, molim na to. Hvala.
Yes, well, on that question, and it is a little bit, I think, repeating my previous reaction, but thank you very much for that important question. And I think what is at core here, and to the core of this question, is that we all make that same analysis, and there is no debate or discussion about that. The analysis is sound and is there that when it comes to the High North, the Arctic region, I was myself visiting Iceland only, I think, 6 or 8 weeks ago, and we also extensively discussed this, and I was in Norway and visiting all our allies, discussing with the US and with Canada. I was with the Prime Minister Carney last week in Paris, discussing the importance of the Arctic. So collectively, as an alliance, and particularly, of course, the 7 countries who are bordering on the region, we do make this analysis that the collective defense is crucial. We all see that through changes in weather patterns that sea lanes are opening up. And we have to make sure that we do everything to protect that region. It is a vital part of NATO territory. And that is exactly why, where in the past NATO was not so much involved when it came to the Arctic, that since 2025, on the request by the 7 High North allies who are bordering on the Arctic, that NATO has become more involved. This has led to a few, as I said, very successful discussions within the NATO alliance with our ambassadors in Brussels and our ministers. We discussed this importance, and currently we are working on the next steps to make sure that indeed we collectively protect what is at stake here.
Evo samo još par riječi da dodam što se tiče ove teme koja se odnosi na Grenland i na Dansku i na signale koje čujemo iz američke administracije.